Happy Wednesday to the people. It is May the 27th, 2026. It is I, Bobby, Robert Digital, from 204 Comics, this week joined by a very special guest, the man himself, Ashley. How is it to be back among the land of YouTube after missing a week of recording?
Feels great. It's like finding that favorite shirt in the closet, you know? Old soft cotton.
Like a Journey into Mystery themed Muppets shirt.
Muppets shirt, yeah.
Themed Journey into Mystery shirt.
Sure.
What do you got on there? The Swedish Chef?
Swedish Chef as Thor in Thor's first appearance from Journey into Mystery.
The Chef
83.
of Mystery, it says.
Yeah.
And
he's swinging around a spatula instead of Mjolnir, hitting some chickens.
I like the text says, Der most exciting duper yeargo of all term.
All term.
Okay, well, that's a great shirt. I just went with Godzilla today because,
Yes,
you know how it is. Enough about the shirts, Ash. Let's address, before we get into today's topic, there was a YouTube comment that our pal Taylor, I think her name is, sorry if I got that wrong, left us. She asked if there was like a list of books that are common to the store that are keys, or like larger books that we
Like stuff that gets
get
like
regularly
traded in more
yeah
often
like
than
things
not.
like, what are some common keys that we see in the store? Sorry, I was having a brain issue there.
It took me a second to realize what you were talking about. Sure. Frank Miller Wolverine #1.
Yeah, it's funny because we talked about it after we saw the comment, and thank you again to our pal Taylor. Great YouTube videos. You should check out her account. It's really awesome stuff.
Yeah.
But we were talking about it right after we saw the comment, and I was saying we get the Frank Miller Wolverine #1 like all the time.
All the
We
time.
see it
Yeah.
multiple times a year, and then one came into the store like
That
2
day.
days ago or yesterday or something. So it's funny.
I think we have. I want to say 3 or 4 on the website right now.
There was a time when we had like a stash of probably 5 or 6 issues of that book
I even go
specifically.
further than that, but yeah.
Yeah.
That one, Secret Wars 8, I feel like we get
Ooh.
a lot. Now, we're obviously very fortunate to find those in
Yeah.
plethora.
People, I mean, like, those are kind of big, like, hits that people, they bring to us. We take in comics as trade, and we buy collections from folks, especially at the shop here. Sometimes it's store credit. Sometimes, I mean, listen, if you got stuff, we're always buying stuff. So feel free to bring it down to the shop here. But we do see kind of the more well-known, Marvel and DC hits,
Sure.
especially in and around like people who are maybe our age range and a little bit older, typically tend to have Wolverine, Secret Wars 8,
I feel like
ASM 300 is the one we see often.
it's one of those like handful of 80s and early 90s keys where I feel like most people our age want a copy of that in their collection. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I agree with you. It's
iconic covers, crucial to comic storylines like the Secret Wars, black suit and stuff like that.
and it's funny because I read that Secret Wars 8. I'm sure I've talked about it on the show. I read it again recently, like a year ago. I read Secret Wars 1 over again, and he just like shows up with the black suit after he goes into some machine because his suit's damaged or something, and he's like, "Hey guys, look, I have a black suit now," and they're like, "Wow, that's weird."
Yeah.
And that's like the extent of it.
Sure.
But it's lauded as this like, this is the origin of the black suit. Yeah, he stepped into an alien like machine and just suddenly had a black suit. It's kind of silly.
Yeah.
But anyway, we do see those two especially. Do you have any others that you think we see very often?
Those are the ones that stick out to me as like something of enough value that it's a planned purchase usually.
Right.
And I mean, we have no no way to compare it with, you know, other cities or whatever, but I feel like we see
Sure.
them. We see them what I would say like an inordinate amount to how they are lauded and how they are important to the hobby.
Yeah, they're key issues that you know we sell for $100-$200, whatever it is, depending on the condition.
Yep.
But they're not rare. Like they're not hard to come by. You can find them on eBay or wherever easily. But
Yep.
they come into the shop and they do have value. They're just not super rare. They're ones we see regularly.
Yep.
Anyway, that's great. Hopefully that answers the question, Taylor. And again, folks, check out Taylor's YouTube channel. She has some really cool pickup videos that she seems to record quite often. She did a video a little while ago about, I think it was like 10 ways that comic books changed her life. And
cool.
it was actually a really good video. I really recommend it.
That's neat.
Anyway,
What's
moving
today's topic?
on to today's topic, we thought we would discuss, I talked about it last week, 10 comic artists from the Silver and Bronze Age
Sure.
that I think in the video I had mentioned that we would do like our favorites, but we thought that was a little too like
On the nose.
so instead what we're gonna do this week is we're each gonna choose 3 artists from the Silver and Bronze, you can even lean into Copper era a little bit if you want to, artists who are maybe a little underappreciated, a little understated there, Ash.
Still our we love their work and like them, but we feel that in the hobby they may not get the love they deserve. That's what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm saying that. So if you want to start, or I could start, how would you
Just go
prefer?
1 for 1, or
Yeah, we'll just alternate. I'll start. How about
sure,
that?
yeah, go for it.
So an artist who I think is not appreciated or mentioned or talked about very much, and this is probably the most well-known artist I would say out of the 3, maybe out of the 3 that I've chosen today, is a man named Jean Giraud, or perhaps better known as Mobius. Mobius is kind of an interesting story because overseas he was a lot more, I would say, popular back when he was making art. He did this old cowboy comic called Blueberry. And we didn't really get it in North America. I think it's in French.
And like
there's translated copies.
Yeah, and they did somewhat early like
Compendium kind of things. Or?
Not a compendium, but like they were like the Marvel preview sized, like not a magazine. You remember like the New Mutants Marvel magazine that was like their first appearance.
Oh yeah.
So they were that size and thickness.
Yeah. So Blueberry was where kind of Mobius cut his teeth in comics. And he also is very well known here for some of the work that he did in speaking of magazines, what we know as heavy metal, or Metal Hurlant, as it was called over in I guess Europe. So Mobius did a lot of like writing and art, I believe, in those like short stories in heavy metal and Metal Hurlant. He also actually did the arts for Silver Surfer Parable, which was written by Stan Lee. And Stan Lee is quoted actually as saying that's one of his favorite stories that he ever wrote.
They were cool covers.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. It's like a offshoot story about the Silver Surfer, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's not canon as I understand it. So that's kind of interesting.
Right. Yeah.
And then finally, I was actually just before the video here, I was doing a little bit of prep work, and I found that Mobius actually did some covers for Transmetropolitan, the DC Vertigo book back in the early 2000s there.
Cool.
He did, I think, the covers for issues 49 to 51, which is funny because it doesn't look like his old style that we know from like heavy metal and such.
Right.
But he did a handful of notable like Marvel posters and
I was
things
gonna say,
like
I saw
that
that
too.
you had it written there. And I'm like, I remember some of those like the early 80s posters that he did, and they were like just
he's
mind-blowing.
He's a very unique artist, and definitely one that I recommend checking out. If you're not familiar with his work, there's a guy on YouTube here. Another quick shout out. He's much larger creator than us. His name is Matt. His YouTube channel, I think it's just Matt with 4 T's, and he has these like documentaries basically that he does, and he does a deep dive on Mobius that's incredible. So
cool.
Go check his stuff out. Ash, who do you got first on your list?
Sure. You'll see a theme amongst my creators that I like.
Okay.
In a sense of late 60s and 70s horror stuff.
More silver.
Yeah, well, like it goes into the 70s and the 80s for sure. Lots of these titles that they worked on carried on that long, and they did work on them that long, but I find that it's somewhat more reasonable to pick up a lot of these books in, good grades for affordable prices, and I think it's not unfortunate, but like it's good for us that you're still able to pick these things up. It's travesty. Travesty is what I was looking for. They're still undervalued as much as they are.
I see what you're saying. They're underappreciated.
Underappreciated.
Yeah.
Hence the
title. Yeah.
So my first one is Frank Brunner. Brunner, you may know him from he did a lot of Man-Thing covers. Early Doctor Strange. So like, I guess technically be volume 2. The
like
70s.
when it becomes as Doctor Strange.
1,
yeah.
And then some of the Monsters Unleashed magazines and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
The couple that I wrote down here, if you're gonna put some images
I'll
up.
overlay some stuff on the screen.
Man-Thing number 1,
sure.
Doctor Strange issue number 4, and then the Monsters Unleashed number 11 were some of the highlights that I could think of.
The Monsters Unleashed is probably the toughest to come by out of those.
Oh,
3.
sure, yeah. Any of those
uncommon.
Like, those early 70s. I think the company was called Curtis. The Curtis magazines, especially in nice shape. They're like finding hen's teeth, as the old saying goes. Yeah.
That is not one I'm familiar with, but I appreciate its use nonetheless.
Chickens don't have teeth, so it's.
My second choice this week is, I would say this man is underappreciated. However, I think that his mark on comics as a whole is he's known. He's well known and well loved, but I don't think you can give him enough, because to me, he's one of my all-time favorites as well. I'm going to talk about Stan Sakai. So, if you don't know, Stan Sakai is probably most well known for creating the character Usagi Yojimbo, who is the samurai rabbit that sometimes shows up in the Ninja Turtles stuff. Has his own whole other side series on his own that he is obviously the main character of. But Stan Sakai was, I think he's like his earliest stuff. He was doing lettering in like Masters of the Universe, like books. Cool. It was quite interesting. Sure. And as his career took shape, he actually started doing a lot of the lettering for Sergio Aragones' Gru. Gru the Wanderer? Yeah, he was doing all the lettering, I think, for the Gru stuff as time went forward there. And he started kind of taking some other stuff on, and he did that book Albedo Anthropomorphics, and that's where Usagi he got created as in, I think it's Albedo number 1, right, that he shows up. Two
Albedo number 2.
Whatever the case, that's where Usagi was took shape essentially, and then eventually Usagi went on to do his own thing. But Stan Sakai has kind of really been in his own lane for quite some time. He's not really like a big Marvel guy or DC, but he did do some stuff in them, as far as I know. He did a couple of backup stories of like Fantastic Four in like the early 2000s or something like that.
Worth mentioning, still doing new Usagi.
Yeah, he's what's that? Kaito 84? Is that him?
That's the current one.
Yeah. So there's a few things. I think he actually also has his own imprint now. Is it not called like Dogu or something like that? I could be so wrong.
Yeah, it is Dogu. Yeah.
Yeah. So he has his own imprint. I'm pretty sure at Dark Horse. I think so. He's still killing the game, but he started out as a letterer. Maybe that's the path forward. And speaking of shoutouts, Lyndon. He's a local guy here. He's actually got a story published in last year's Halloween Zatanna, the Zatanna Panic special.
Yep.
He wrote a story that's in there, and he has kind of got his foot in the door at the comic industry as a letterer. So maybe he's following the Stan Sakai blueprint, Ash.
Maybe.
What do we know about that?
That's a what do they call it? Like a good path to follow.
I mean, if you're gonna follow someone's path, Stan Sakai, he's like a legend in the industry. Sure. But again, not nearly appreciated enough. People aren't banging down the door asking, "Hey, where's the Stan Sakai books?" Right? Mm-hmm. We hear about the Mobius once in a while, but Stan Sakai, not so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a lot. Sure. Ash, who's your second underappreciated artist?
Sure. I got Ernie Chan.
Ooh.
Ernie Chan. Again, sticking with the kind of pseudo horror theme, if you want to call it that. Ernie, probably best known for his work on Savage Sword of Conan. Lots and lots of interiors.
Like the magazines?
Yeah, lots of interiors, lots of covers. And I want to say underappreciated because he had huge shoes to follow from Sal Buscema doing Savage Sword. And I would argue just as good. That's my hot take for the week.
Sure.
But yeah, the couple of the examples I listed off for covers that really stand out to me: House of Secrets 132, Savage Sword of Conan number 29, and Weird War Tales 43.
Oh yeah.
I said all just fantastic, and like I said, I feel like he's one of my favorites, and he's underappreciated, larger because he had a big shadow ahead of him.
He stood on the shoulders of a titan. You're saying?
Well, lots of these guys in particular that I listed. Not so much Frank Bruner, but Ernie Chan and my next guy that I'm going to mention. They came up, in the early 70s doing kind of horror-ish and Batman and stuff covers for DC. And I mean, you got guys like Nick Cardy and Neil Adams and
absolutely.
Like, Carmine Infantino. Like, how are you gonna make a name for yourself and show your body of work when you got these guys? Like,
they're tough acts to follow.
Tough.
Definitely.
Yep.
Great choice.
Sure.
I think both of your choices have been good, and you know how critical I am.
Your third choice might have been on my list had you not picked it, because I think it's a fantastic one.
Here it is. All right.
Yeah.
And I feel like this isn't a hot take, but I feel like nobody is talking about this guy. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you folks about a man who worked for mostly, I would say, DC Comics. I don't know if he did much Marvel, to be honest, but I know him from DC.
I'd say almost exclusively.
He did a lot of stuff at DC. He started out in the 60s, late 60s, I think, doing a bunch of Aquaman stuff, among other things. I think, so I wrote down a few things here. So in the late 60s, he did Aquaman 40 through 49, came back to Aquaman a couple of times, excuse me, as time went on. And, he did some Phantom Stranger.
Yep.
He also did some Charlton and I guess other publications. He did the Phantom as well, purple costume and the rings and all that.
I know the Phantom. Yeah. Did my favorite small run of adventure comics with the Spectre.
Oh, with the Spectre, yeah.
Outstanding covers.
And of course,
yeah.
I'm talking about Jim Aparo.
Yeah.
From back in, I know his work mostly from the 80s, the stuff he was doing in the 80s with Batman and Detective Comics. So for me, one of my all-time favorite storylines is probably Death in the Family, if only because of the fact that they killed off Jason Todd, and the way that they did it at the time, to me was such a fascinating, such a fascinating thing to do it that way and leave it in the hands of the readers instead of just making the decision in a boardroom, basically, right? But I think it's funny because Jim Aparo did a bunch of covers featuring like the Joker. I think there's that one cover where they're on some sort of like a roller coaster track, and the Joker's in the background, and Batman's, I think, like going to be run over or something.
Well, then there's another one with the Joker's face is on like a toy train, and Batman's tied to the track. You know what I mean?
I think we're thinking of the same one.
Maybe we're thinking of the same one.
So that's like a he's done some iconic covers, and I think it would probably be more difficult for you to find something of his that like you're unfamiliar with, because most people, even though like Jim Aparo's name doesn't come to mind immediately when you think of like the most notable Batman artists. He left his mark on them, and he even went on to do some like other pretty cool stuff in the late late 70s. He did a few things. He did that, like, was it Batman 442, like the Robin cover?
Oh yeah,
I think he did the interiors on that book too. So he was all over the place in detective as well. He's got quite a long history of books that he's worked on, but definitely a guy who was I would say like instrumental in the development of Batman as a character, and does not get his dues. So he passed away over in 2005, I believe it was, old Jim Aparo. But hopefully he's enjoying the comic industry from the great beyond.
There you go.
Who's your final choice, Ashley?
Sure. And again, still sticking with that horror theme, and guys who had a tough act to follow. We got Nestor Redondo, who
interesting,
famously known again, Savage Sword of Conan, and did most of the covers for Volume 1 Swamp Thing after Wrightson. So again, how do you follow Wrightson? Well, Redondo's like, hold my beer and watch.
So if you don't know Nestor Redondo, he is actually from the Philippines, I believe.
I think that's correct.
His son actually lives in Winnipeg, and I've met his son multiple times, and actually there was a point in time that we affectionately refer to as the Shadow Realm around here, but when I was in the Shadow Realm, I got to meet his son, and I helped him. He was looking for all of the Swamp Thing comics that his dad had worked on. Yeah. And so I sold them. I had copies of them, and I sold them to him.
I want to say it's like I have written down issue 12.
12
I have a weird thing for
17.
The late silver, early bronze covers with dinosaurs on them. I can't get enough of that stuff. I was going to say 12 through 17 or 18.
I think something like that. Yeah, he did a few.
Yep.
Yeah. His signature is a little bit. It looks similar to someone else's though. I think it's just an NR. Yep. But I can't. It looks like someone else's, and sometimes I mix them up. But anyway, so what else did he work on? Did you write down here?
I got Savage Sword 45 because the cover's sick. But he did a bunch of Savage Sword for quite a while. And then Unexpected 164. He did a number of Unexpected.
The Unexpected. Yeah. Those are cool, like horror, Bronze Age horror, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's
there it is. 3 artists each who we believe are not appreciated nearly enough. Obviously, some of these guys have been given their flowers before. Mobius and Stan Sakai are fairly well known. Sure. So is Jim Aparo. Your guys are definitely known names as well. But these are people who, everyone, at least at our local level here, everyone's talking about Neil Adams all the time. Yep. And not to discredit Neil Adams. No. He did great stuff.
Yep.
A lot of people like Michael Turner.
Sure.
He did a lot of cool stuff for...
And like, you want to talk about people who've been prolific beyond the grave. I don't know if there's anybody in the comic industry more than Turner that his work has been posthumous.
Yeah, he became popular. There's so many, like, we didn't talk about Frazetta. He's maybe one of the most well-known guys, but I still think he's underappreciated.
That might be the hottest take you've ever made.
I don't know.
I'm not saying that he's not worthy of the praise. I think
he's starting to be
in
the lexicon of what people talk about.
Oh, and that's
of all-time greats now.
And that's what I meant. You can't possibly appreciate him adequately, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other artists that we could have highlighted in this episode, but haven't.
I could have made this a love letter to Steranko, like I always
do. Exactly. So we kind of tried to lean. I mean, if you know me at the shop here, I've talked about Mobius, I'm sure, at length, and Stan Sakai to some degree as well. But there's tons of them, and we want to hear from you guys who your favorites are and who you think silver or bronze age. If you lean into copper or whatever, we're not gonna be upset about it, but we're always interested to know more about these folks who made the material that we earn a living off of, Ash. So anything else for the people this week?
No, I think that's pretty good.
All right, guys. Well, a longer episode today. We're running up to 26 minutes or so here. We hope you enjoyed. And again, check out our friend, I believe it's Taylor. I'm so sorry if I got the name wrong. Check out our YouTube channel, and then check out that Matt with 4T's guy as well. I'll put a link in the description. I'll float them on the screen so people just look it up too if they want. But definitely some cool stuff. And we'll see you folks next Wednesday. Toodaloo. You're a funny guy, Ash.